Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share, subscribe, because it is so important to our success here on the YouTube. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please remember to hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5. You babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's talk about, hold on, let me look at this. Brothers be yo, like George, ain't that funkin' kinda hard on you? Child, this might be 16 or 17, something like that. I don't know. Not because I'm not interested in the book anymore, but because I didn't took my nighttime medicine. The live shows were getting even liver. We had everything that the P-Funk Earth Tour record had going for it, plus Flashlight and Bob Gunn. It was like topping off a skyscraper. Because of the success of Flashlight, we added a stage effect when the mothership landed. 500 light bulbs exploded on either side of me. Sound like a whole lot of money. A whole lot of money, Mr. George. Crowds were starting to become hysterical. They were also helping us to understand how we were being understood. There was a level of membership and participation that was almost like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Listen, I'm going to go to the left and then I'm going to come back. Just give me 2 minutes, okay? I don't know how many minutes it's going to take, because for real, I don't know. This nighttime medicine didn't work really fast. Blink, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, if you have not gone to see Rocky Horror Picture Show in a theater and have seen the participation with the white people, okay? Oh, it's astounding. It's astounding, because me and BFF used to go Saturday nights to Georgetown when we ain't had nothing to do, right? And we used to see like the white people walking around dressed like the people from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? And we had made up our mind that one time, or that one day, we would go to see what happens. And we saw what happens. And I mean, it was a pretty fun thing to do. Now me and BFF didn't participate because we didn't know all the moves and stuff like that. Plus, it wasn't our environment. I did say it was the white people, and it is Georgetown, okay? That's like the richest city in the Northwest, okay? You ain't no slacker if you living up there in the, what is that? Is it the Chevy Chase? Yeah, it's Chevy Chase in Maryland. Anyway, Georgetown ain't for the poor, okay? But anyway, it's an experience. I would encourage you all to do it. But it is pretty fun. Now, when it came down to George Clinton said they there. And you actually got people in the audience with flashlights and lighters up in the air. Flashlight, red light, neon light, stop light. Now I lay me down to sleep. They was grooving. Nowadays they just put their cell phone up in the air, when they doing their little thing. But he said the participation motivated him. Of course it would. You want to know that you move in the crowd. In the course of 2 years, we had released 2 Funkadelic records, 3 Parliament records, including the live set, 2 rubber band records, and side projects from acts like the Horny Horns and Eddie Hazel. Funkadelic was the senior band, senior to Parliament, but junior to the Parliaments. But it was in a strange place. Hardcore Jollies, the first record we had done for Warner's, was a hell of an album. But it had been folded into the big mothership tour. And then, wait a minute. Y'all told me how to say this. My bad, y'all. Hold on. Funkin versus the Placebo Syndrome. both of which were overwhelming. It wasn't that Funkadelic was becoming an afterthought, exactly, but there were no denying that Parliament, both on record and on stage, was so massive and bright that it was hard to look away from. As we got ready to go back into the studio as Funkadelic, we added some new personnel. The most important arrival at that time was Junie Morrison, the Ohio player. You know that's my ninja. That is my ninja. Let me keep reading and stop acting a ninja, okay? Junie was one of the main songwriters during the period responsible for Him Like Funky Worm. Oh, not my favorite Ohio player song. There's a worm in the ground. Yes, it is. He lives 6 feet down. Hey, he only comes around. If you want to get down, baby, you got to get down. Man, the grandmother part, that shit was awesome. Awesome. Okay, so you know how you be like, nah. Well, you never be like this. That's just my spirit talking to me saying, nah, you talk about DC too much. Thank y'all for being so, what's that word? Understanding and having patience with me. Y'all know I'm down here in Georgia. I miss my home. And every time one of these books talk about Washington, D.C., it just makes me glow. Okay? But at any rate, this is not me saying this. This is George Clinton saying this part. This is his words, not mine. Okay? He said that one time when he was performing in Washington, D.C., it had to be either at RFK Stadium or the Capitol Center. That's actually in Landover, Maryland. Or Constitution Hall. But anyway, he said while he was down there performing, 2 girls, what was these girls' names? LaTanya and Darlene came up to the car. Okay. They said to him, quote, "That's the greatest concert we've ever seen," they said. It was like one nation under a groove. And Junie and I wrote that song. See what I mean? You know what? George Clinton, it's nothing wrong with using people as muses and environments and, developing concepts and stuff. But man, George Clinton, man, he kind of got some old cruddy ways to him, man. Did I say he kind of minimalizes a lot of his shenanigans, okay? But then he goes on to say that years later, I ran into the girls who suggested the slogan. One of them was married by that time. And when I met her husband, he said, "How close were you and George exactly?" I said, man, that's a hell of a question to ask after 70, not 17, Hold on, George. 70 years? Nigga, you just turned 80. Did you fuck her when you was 10? Come on, George. Come on. Some of your recollections be wrong, man. Some of your recollections be wrong. We had toured with the mothership for 2 years, and we were exhilarated, but also exhausted. When One Nation Under the Groove came out, we had it off on what we called the anti-tour. We had no big stage set, just stripped down equipment. We weren't playing huge venues, but rather smaller theaters. We even switched the bill around so we weren't the headliners of our own tour. We were opening for the Brides of Funkenstein. The band called the tour the Chitlin Circuit. Some of the new members made fun of the idea, though. For the older musicians, it was just like a throwback. Now, George, see, this is the bullshit that I'm talking about. When we did the 2-part documentary previously, George said that they called it the anti-tour because they didn't have no money no more. Too much money was going to all the stage props and, all the people and driving the people around and, limousines and stuff like that, that's what George said, and that's what the other people that participated in it. And I think Bootsy participated in it too, right? I can't really remember. But basically, they were saying, look, it wasn't no more money. Money was going up in smoke. Yeah, you was smoking all of it, brother. How long you think you're going to be able to have a satin Rolls Royce or Bentley, whatever that was, on stage with you and smoke dope the entire time? You can't do that. Them drugs be costly. Okay? That's a car note damn near or mortgage, depending on how serious your addiction was. But in his book, he didn't mention that. Like how he did in the interview or the documentary that we seen. That's why I be like, wait a minute. Sometimes his recollection be a little, off. At the start of the tour, our participation was kind of a secret, which meant that it was hard to fill venues. Now, let me also say this, right? He's saying that he was tired, that the whole thing was tired. So what they did in order to minimize their work or their output in regards to the shows was to highlight the brides, and then they would be secondary, so then there's less work, because the headliner are the people that have the largest shows, the biggest shows. They're the, I guess, let's say, the biggest and the baddest. Child. Anyway, but he said because the Funkadelics, the P-Funk crew was not really the main crew, people weren't really filling the tour. So what he had to do was go outside and sell fake comp tickets, pretending like he wanted to get high. I don't know why he thought this was going to work, but he was pretending that he wasn't him, went out there and was like, man, I got these comp tickets. I sell them to you. All I need is just a few bucks to get high. But he heard people saying, why the fuck is George Clinton out here selling tickets himself? Because he old cheap mother hunchy. He don't want to spend money on nothing but drugs. Remember that, okay? Remember that nigga still got a 2-bedroom apartment over there on the 8 Mile in Detroit, okay? But at any rate, he out there selling tickets. The people see him that he is George Clinton, saying to themselves, why is he doing this? Is this nigga losing his mind? Answer, yes. We ran the anti-tour across the whole country, P-Funk and the brides brainstorming. We had new musicians like Jeff Cherokee Bunn, who played bass for the brides, and we had part of Bootsy's band too, though Bootsy himself wasn't there. Oh my God. Okay, so I think George was in his feelings, because at this point, George is, Bootsy is getting booked separately from P-Funk, okay? You have people that don't want the whole P-Funk zhuzh. They just want Bootsy. Remember, Bootsy had a crossover appeal to him, okay? He wasn't just the punk, funk, rock. Wait, no. Am I talking about Rick James was P-Funk, but he crossed over. He was soul and R&B and disco. He really had that crossover effect that George Clinton refused to do, okay, because he wanted to stay close to the funk. Now, what he's also saying is that Bootsy became a diva. He started smelling himself, okay? But let me tell you how he got Bootsy back. Hold on. Y'all know I didn't have my midnight medicine. Give me a little forgiveness, right? So anyway, he said that Bootsy was smelling himself because he was out on tour somewhere and he caught the shingles. Bootsy, why you gonna say that man caught the shingles? Didn't nobody have to know that man caught the shingles, okay? Because nobody want to talk about the shingles. Nobody, okay? That shit ain't easy. And then I'm like, how the hell did Bootsy catch the shingles? Wasn't he like 24 or 25? Isn't that an old person's disease? Isn't that an old person thing? Did he sleep with an old lady or something that caught the shingles? But what George Clinton said was that Bootsy was so in his feelings about the shingles that he had 2 bodyguards standing outside of the door and didn't want to see nobody. George, you could have left that part out. George be petty, man. That nigga is petty. As Funkadelic went under a groove, Parliament went underwater. We had been in the lab making clones. We had been in space. Now we decided to make a concept album about raising Atlantis in the name of funk. Motor Booty. Never learned to swim. Hey, can't catch the rhythm of the stroke. Hey, why must I hold my breath? Hey, feeling that I might choke. I've been singing a lot in this video. It might be the nighttime medicine. The album also expanded the P-Funk character gallery. Star Child had come along for Mothership Connection. Sir Nose showed up on Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome. For Motor Booty, the new character came directly from the signs I had seen at bait shops. It was Mr. Wiggles, the worm. We populated the ocean of Motor Booty affair with mermaids and fish and everything you would expect to see, but also with tribes from Africa who left the plains and went into the ocean. I told y'all that time that my mom had came home. I remember we were both so young. I think I was like, me and my mom only like 15 years apart. So she was young. She was young. I just remember her coming home so excited after a Parliament concert. She was like, Nay, it was so nice, Nay. We was literally underwater. We were underwater, Nay. And I was like, Mama, you was underwater, Mama? What happened, Mama? How did that happen? But she didn't, I guess explain it in a way that I could understand as a child, even though my mom wasn't much older, but still, it was just good to even just think about how excited she was after leaving the concert. Aqua Boogie is about Sir Nose refusing to swim. Even though it's pleasurable, he sees it as another form of dancing, something that interferes with his perpetual cool. Ah, let go of my leg, he says, almost screaming. I hate water. Aqua Boogie went up in the number 1 on the R&B charts. It went up to number 1 on the R&B chart and parked there for a month. Okay, so Warner Brothers tripping. Okay, it wouldn't be right if the label wouldn't trip. Okay, but what's going on is George Clinton was having some issues with promotion of Motor Booty. Okay, and that is because George Clinton said that Warner came up with the notion somehow that acts like Sly, Shaka Khan, and Cameo and the P-Funk crew were going to create this unified pop group thingy, or, like section, I guess, and, cross over. George Clinton's like, I'm not crossing over to pop. I don't do that. I stand in solidarity with my... Is that the right word? No, I stand 10 toes planted with my funk. I'm not about to change who the hell I am. And you know how it is. When you don't do what the people say, then you get in trouble. Okay? Then they put you in the corner. Well, if you don't want to do what I say, go in the corner. Okay? Like the Berry Gordy did to his Motown artists. The Motor Booty Tour was scheduled to open at Madison Square Garden at the beginning of 1979, but somebody filed the wrong paperwork or made the wrong call, and the trucks with all the equipment got sent ahead to Milwaukee. We arrived at the garden to find that we had no props. Many of the band members wanted to cancel, and some of them even went ahead to Milwaukee. But canceling was one of my hang-ups. When people paid to see us, I thought we had to deliver. We had the brides with us, along with some of Bootsy's musicians, and we cobbled together a group that could play the Motor Booty material. I was scared to death about how the crowd would react. Now, because people love P-Funk so much, although he couldn't give them that whole underwater scene, he had announced to the crowd, commendable, because some niggas or some ninjas will trick you. You know what I'm saying? They won't tell you what's going on till you get there. You'll find out when you get there, right? Some ninjas will be on stage singing their little songs, and then like an hour in, you looking around, where the hell is all the fish and the mermaids that everybody was talking about? But George Clinton had said to the crowd, he was honest. If you want water, you ain't gonna get it here. The only water you're gonna get is the sweat from my balls. That was a joke. Y'all remember that song from CB4? Sweat of my balls. Sweat from my balls. That shit was funny as hell too. Anyway, forgive me guys. So anyway, the only water going to be here is from my sweat. If you want your money back, ask. It ended up being one of the best shows we ever did. Only 7 people asked for a refund. The tour became a monster. In Washington, D.C., that's him talking, not me, guys. That's him, okay? We were the headliner at RFK for... The tour became a monster. In Washington, D.C., we were the headliners at RFK for a bill that included a bunch of go-go bands. Uh-oh. People in D.C. love their go-go, and they stretched out their sets. It's true. It's true, guys. It's true. If they cranking, man, it keep going and going and going. The problem is that Parliament was set to go on, or was it Funkadelic? I don't know, P-Funk, whatever, the crew, right, was scheduled to go on at 10:30. It's 11 o'clock and the go-go band's still playing, right? Because you can't shut down a go-go band in D.C. That won't happen, right? But then, you can't not have the headliner play, okay? Of course, there were fines implemented, but it was still a good show nonetheless, and I appreciate George Clinton for, staying and giving us what we need. Now, as a result of the penalties that they had to pay in D.C., when they moved on to the next venue, Tiger Flower, the company that was in charge of, I guess, promoting the tour, didn't pay the sound company, which meant that the next night at the Richmond Coliseum, the sound company stiffed us. They didn't show up with our equipment. We didn't panic. We banded together with the other groups on the bill, LTD and the Barcades and Evelyn Champagne King. Oh, my goodness, that's my boo. Took everyone's equipment and built a sound wall. Nobody thought that it would work, and everyone was afraid to try. Finally, Evelyn, the youngest out of all of them, stepped up. She said the show has got to go on, and we played with the sound wall, and it worked perfectly. That year was like 10 years all in one. It was a heady and dizzy, liberating thing. Along with the main records, we were putting out extra records at a clip. The Bride's Parlay, Bootsy, a second record for the Horny Horns, Bernie Worrell's solo record, and All in the Woo in the World came out right around then. And that ended up being one of my favorite P-Funk side projects. The new wave of side projects brought us in contact with a whole new crop of artists and musicians. The Paulette and Horny Horn records featured artwork by Ronald Edwards, who went by the name of Stuzzo the Clown. Stuzzo was like a junior Overton. When we played Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C., it's not my words, it's his words. I'm telling you, D.C. loves them, okay? He used to come up to us and show pictures he had drawn of me, Sly Stone, and James Brown. And we acquired another P-Funk guitar hero, Blackbird McKnight. Blackbird was an old friend of Archie Ivy's. Remember the journalist who would write down everything, while George Clinton getting high, talking openly about his ideas, and Archie Ivy would write them all down. He used to jam with Archie's college band in Archie's garage, and he had gone to play with Herbie Hancock's band, the Headhunters. As we were putting the brides together, he came to us as the lead player, and we quickly brought him into the main P-Funk fold. A source of pain seemed like a pleasure at first. Near the end of the year, I was doing cloak with my limo driver, a girl, and she turned to me and said, "You've got to try this." Right there in her hand was a freebase pipe. I took it. I tried it. And the first fucking time, it hit. It hit. I found acid all over again. Now, if you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, and subscribe, because it is so important to our success here on the YouTube. Now, remember this: the same people that you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. My naysayers, my patron loves, you babies, have a good one. Peace.